What is going on, guys? I'm back with another video. In this video, what I want to talk about is there going to be a recession in the next coming months? And we'll talk about a bunch of different indicators going on with the falling economy worldwide. I mean, there's so many things going on, with the China trade war, inverted yield curve, all kinds of stuff. But what I first want to get into is the 2020 election. And there's been a new poll that came out, Fox News, and Yang actually got 3% in this one, up from about 2 or 1%, so he's trending upward a little bit. Klobuchar kind of coming in with 2% out of nowhere. I believe she's just qualified for the debates. And if we take a look at New Hampshire polls, and this is important because it's the second primary state to vote for the presidential election, or at least for the primary candidates. And a Gravis poll came out, and Yang is at 4%. So he's doing like twice as well in New Hampshire as the national average, which is actually very good signs for Yang. And what I want to get into is all the craziness going on. So we got the China trade war, we got markets falling in the stock market. So GE falls the most in 11 years after Madoff whistleblower calls it a bigger fraud than Enron. And Enron was this total fraud where they did all kinds of accounting tricks to basically predict future profits to count them as profits this quarter, and they just basically pumped their stock to the moon, and it was a giant fraud that fell apart. And this guy that called, this Madoff whistleblower who called basically out Bernie Madoff because he looked at all the data and he's like, there's no way he can keep making money, quarter over quarter where everyone else is losing. It's just not possible. It's like a Ponzi scheme. Basically, the 175-page report claims GE was hiding the depths of its financial problems and would need to significantly raise its insurance reserves. It also points out alleged accounting issues with its oil and gas unit. GE offers a lot of stuff. Like they sell, they create a lot of products, but they also now sell insurance, and that can get really risky because they're really, there's no limit to how much they can insure, right? And if the numbers don't add up, and things go south, then they can go out of business, kind of like AIG did back in 2008, 2009. And my team has spent the past 7 months analyzing GE's accounting, and we believe the $38 billion in fraud we've come across is merely the tip of the iceberg. So they're spotting all kinds of fraud in GE. I believe even Warren Buffett sold out on his GE holdings yesterday. And this is a very bearish sign that big companies like GE that have been around for decades are basically doing fraud just to keep afloat. And they need credit to basically pay their employees all the time. So kind of interesting. It's a bad sign. So Hong Kong is another geopolitical thing going on. And basically this, I guess this is the leader right here, or the self-proclaimed leader of the protest, and he called on Friday that Hong Kong citizens should take out all bank deposits. He's trying to cause a bank run. Who knows if it's going to happen, but that would be definitely a bearish sign if it did. The primary goal is Chinese banks, but Haitians said other banks should also be targeted. Otherwise, Chinese banks can borrow money from other banks to solve problems. So yeah, pretty scary stuff what's going on. There's definitely a pro independent kind of movement going on in Hong Kong because they're basically, China's closing in on them. So next we have Danish bank launches world's first negative interest rate mortgage. So a negative interest rate mortgage, it just doesn't make any sense, right? Like you borrow money and you actually make money from borrowing, which is kind of crazy. So this is what these are the kind of games the central banks are having to play to get people to keep spending. Is they're actually paying you to borrow money to continue your spending habits, which just doesn't make any sense. If you think about it, right, it's like it's not a good thing for sure. A Danish bank has launched the world's first negative interest rate mortgage, handing out loans to homeowners where the charge is minus 0.5% a year. Negative interest rates effectively mean that a bank pays a borrower to take money off their hands so they pay back less than they have loaned. So Denmark's third largest bank has begun offering borrowers a 10-year deal at negative 0.5%, while another Danish bank, Nordea, says it will begin offering 20-year fixed rate deals at 0% and a 30 mortgage at 0.5%. Yeah, I definitely like a deal like that for a mortgage. They pay you money over time. So like if you borrow, let's say 100,000, then you only have to pay back 90,000, right? So you make 10,000 for borrowing, which is crazy. Yeah, so this is another thing where, again, the polls were wrong again, and surprisingly, the person that was predicted to win by a long shot didn't win, and the other person won. And basically a bunch of investors in Argentina pulled out their money. The currency inflated by I think like 10% overnight, which is kind of insane compared to the US dollar. It looks like investors are still hesitant to put money into Argentina following the country's primary elections, where current president Macri lost in a surprise result. Macri made strides during his presidency to gain the confidence of foreign investors. Investors are worried that Fernandez and his running mate will undo that progress. So yeah, basically looks like just all foreign investors are pulling out of Argentina. I mean, Argentina is like, you know, a highly centralized, kind of authoritative country. The currency is not doing that well, kind of similar to Iran, although I think Iran's in a much worse position. If Argentina does fail to repay its debt, the result would be severe, Uselli said. The market would close everything imaginable to Argentina. So far, there's no indication that Fernandez sees default as a viable option. I think the market is generally holding off until there's more clarity on what may happen. Yeah, pretty fascinating. Like Iran, if you look at like the Iran ruble, it's like totally got decimated. It's like it cut in half in 2016, and then like just a couple months ago, it like got cut in half again. So I even heard a story that like apparently the Iranian government is like they're setting up Bitcoin mining rigs, so like they're trying to mine Bitcoin. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like if a recession does happen, you know, anything anti the market like gold, silver, or even crypto, you know, it's gonna go up, right? So that's kind of where I'm looking for like investments right now. And let's take another look at the GE stuff. Let's get a little bit deeper dive. So the stock closed 11% lower in its biggest drop since April 2008, and ending the day at $8.01 per share. So this is my accounting fraud team 9th insurance fraud case in the past 9 years. So they're saying it's bigger than Enron. And WorldCom combined. That's pretty crazy. So in fact, GE's $38 billion in accounting fraud amounts to over 40% of GE's market capitalization, making it far more serious than either the Enron or WorldCom accounting frauds. GE utilizes many of the same accounting tricks, so much so that we've taken to calling this the GEnron case. Of $29 billion in new LTC reserves that GE needs, so $18.5 billion requires cash immediately, while the remaining $10.5 billion is a non-cash gap charge. So they're saying basically they're short $18.5 billion. That is a lot of money. I don't know. I mean, now with the story coming out, it's going to be hard for them to borrow anything. I mean, that's scary, man. It's like, how long is it, you know, how long have they been around? It's been decades, you know? And it's like, if this company that's been around for this long, they're having to pull all kinds of weird, like they're basically just, I guess, doing fraud, right? Based on this report. You know, that's scary, man, that all these companies that have been around for so long are doing this now. Because it just shows like the whole system is collapsing. I mean, there's so many things going on. You got the Hong Kong, you got Danish Bank offering negative interest mortgages, you got the China trade war, the stock market like dropping like 800 points a day. I don't know, man. I think we probably are going into recession. I mean, and then we had the inverted yield curve like 2 days ago, where the 2-month and the 10-year, you know, the 2-month is yielding more than the 10-year now. So it's like, okay, that's not good. Yeah, so I think we are going to recession. I mean, it could happen like sooner than people are thinking. Like it could happen, I guess, like August, September, but I think things are going to level out a little bit, and it's going to happen like December to April of next year. Basically, like this year, December, all the way to like April. It could happen sooner, but I mean, it definitely seems like things are falling pretty fast. But I feel like it's going to level out a little bit. But I don't know. It could keep going down like crazy too. So it's definitely fascinating to see how quickly like it seemed like last week like everything was fine, but now it's like every day there's new stories coming out, and there's all these geopolitical events going on, and I don't know, man. It's fascinating for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what happens in Hong Kong as well. But yeah, I mean, I think all this is kind of interesting because I think it actually, like, if the economy's bad, I think that's the best chance for actually a Democrat to win the election in 2020. Because if we're in the middle of a recession, that's basically how every one-term president ends up happening. Like if you look at the first Bush, right, the economy went down massively, and that's why he lost to Clinton. And then I'm not sure if Jimmy Carter, their economy was down. I'm not sure in that case. But yeah, basically anytime the economy goes down, we switch parties basically, right? Because at the end of the second Bush, we had the '08 collapse, and then the Obama one, and then now Trump's in there, and I think a lot of Democrats voted for Trump in the swing states because of economic reasons. And if the economy's not doing well, then why do they have any reason to vote for Trump again? And it just doesn't make any sense. It's like Trump. I mean, he is a great salesman, right? He's a really great cheerleader for the country, right? Like make America great again and everything. But it's just not working, especially if the economy falls apart. But it'll be interesting to see what Trump tries to do to save the economy, because I don't know if there's anything he can do, even if he wants to stop it from happening before the election. But yeah, anyways, that's it for this video. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching. Bye.